Ifa Priest podcast. My name is Araba Olawole Olakunle. I'm your host, and on the Ifa Priest podcast, we look at the stereotypes that is attached to Ifa and Orisa system, and we try to bring the intersecting knowledge that removes these stereotypes and give people the information that will allow them have a vivid understanding about Ifa and Orishas, and how it relates with their immediate environment. We've had series of the podcast in the audio format, and we are now having a podcast in an audiovisual setting. And on this episode, we have with us a most notable person in person of Dr. Fayemi Fakayode, who is the President General of the International Council of Ifa Religion, who is here with me on the show. And we are going to be having a broad conversation that's relating with Ifa and the community at large. And there are so many questions that a lot of young people want to ask Baba. And for the sake of the fact that he's my Oga, I need to switch to Yoruba, and I'll do a lot of code switching to see that the podcast actually help people who might not be able to understand Yoruba language to understand what we are saying, and at the same time give Yoruba listeners the opportunity to see that we are indigenous in our tenets. So, Baba káàbọ̀ sí orí ètò. Ẹ bá wa àòdú ní ẹ̀kí ń ṣe àìmọ̀fólókò. Mo ti ṣe research nípa yín dáadáa. Inú mi dùn torí pé mo rántí pé ńgbà tí ẹ di president, mo message yín, and after that time that wá rí yín náà, ẹ ṣe wá lálejò, ẹ kẹwàá ẹ gẹ̀wá, Ọlọ́run á máa túbọ̀ máa kẹ́ yín, Ọlọ́run á túbọ̀ máa gẹ̀ yín. Ṣe rí podcast yìí, bóyá kí n kọ́kọ́ ṣàlàyé ìdí tí mo ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ podcast yìí so that ẹ lè understand tí ó wà lọ́kàn mi gangan. Níta ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ podcast yìí ni pé èmi, ẹ mọ ìtàn mi, bí mo ṣe wá sínú ìṣẹ̀ṣe àti mo ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìrìn àjò mi. And mo wá rí wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ irọ́ tí ẹ̀mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn àgbà náà sọ pé tá a bá parọ́ lọ́jọ́ tó pẹ́, irọ́ á máa fẹ́ dòótọ́, á máa fẹ́ dàbí òótọ́ á fẹ́ máa jọ bí irọ́. Onírúurú irọ́ láti pa fún mi látara wípé mi ò ní choice, wọ́n bí mi sínú ìdílé Kristẹni ni. Nílé Kristẹni tó dẹ̀ bí mi sí yẹn, Jesus is Lord dẹ̀ ni, any other person ṣe Lord mọ́. Fún ìdí èyí mi ò ní choice láti sọ pé òkè mo fẹ́ ní ọ̀fọ̀ láti gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ tó ti sọ fún mi náà ni mo ní láti gbàgbọ́. Àwọn stereotype yẹn, àwa rí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọ̀dọ́ bíi tèmi náà ló wà nínú ipò tí mo wà. Láṣẹ wá ṣe podcast sílẹ̀ pé òkè àwọn nǹkan tó fẹ́ jọ bí irọ́, àwọn ọ̀nà táwọn èèyàn ń rí, ẹlẹ́bọ olóògùn ni wá, olóògùn owó ni wá, ń pààyàn, à ń ṣe kankan ojú ẹ̀. A ní láti correct irọ́ yìí. Irọ́ ni, bọ̀ ti pẹ́, irọ́ tó ti pẹ́ ńlẹ̀ ni, tó ti wá jọ òótọ́, tí ó wá jẹ́ pé ẹni tó lóòótọ́ lọ́wọ́ gan wá dàbí òpùrọ́.
Thank you so much. As you have said, I'm Dr. Fayemi Fakayode, the Areagbefaga of Yoruba land, Jagumolu Awo Agbaye, and the President, International Council for Ifa Religion. I'm also the founder of Olodumare's Temple of Light International, Ìjọ Ìmọ́lẹ̀ Olódùmarè Àgbáyé in Ibadan here.
We are iṣẹ́ takuntakun tẹ́ ń ṣe ní community, but Jagumolu Awo Agbaye International, how do you share these responsibilities? Because as a young person, I am so busy that I personally am trying to do everything possible to see that my life is better organized for my family, because Babalawo you are a very busy person. Talk less of paying to how do you tend to do things together like that?
Thank you so much. No, you are right. The question you are asking, at times many people do ask such questions. Even in an organization, when you have a very standard organization, people will do something like when you are vying for a position there, they want to know much about you. And if you are holding position in another organization, in some organizations, the best thing is for you to resign so that you'll be able to face the responsibilities. But as we are saying it as the president of the International Council for Ifa Religion, the other things that we talk about, they are not like position in the organization. Being the Ariagbefaga of Yoruba land, that chieftaincy title was given to me in 2010 by the then Oluwo Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, Baba Oluwo Fatoki Akangbe, kí aworere kó jẹ nímọ̀ rere. Because the Oluwo Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́ then and his council of chiefs, they studied the situation in Yoruba land, and they realized that among the people who are trying to promote the tradition and cultural practices, especially Ifa in Yoruba land, that I'm one of them. And that was why the title was given to me then. And as the Jagunmolu Awo Agbaye, it is the Araba Agbaye, His Eminence Awo Dotun Aworeni Makoranwale II, and is the Olodumerindilogun, that they look at the roles that people are playing in the Ifa community, and they said this so person will be fit to be in this position because of the way he has been fighting and propagating the way of Orisa. And as the founder of the Ìjọ Ìmọ́lẹ̀ Olódùmarè Àgbáyé, that is a temple, and the temple is situated in Alade town of Ibadan, and that is my hometown in Ibadan. When we realized that before we were born, according to the history of our town, there were many shrines and temples of Orisa. And I can say when I was in primary school, I met some of the shrines like the shrine of Alaja and the temple of Shango. But before the late 80s, all the shrines and temples, they disappear. And we realized that is one of the problems of Yoruba traditional religion, because when people don't have a place to come in together with the people that they share the same religious interest, there will be problem. Because if I say I'm a traditionalist and my children, they don't have a place where they go to associate with the
themselves,
children of other people who are into this tradition, they will be following their friends to their churches and mosques whenever they have programs. And we realize that another problem is that when you say, I'm a Babalawo, we have to have the Babalawos, they have a way of coming together every week, which is every 4 days, because 4 days make a week in Yoruba land. And when we realize that if you say I'm a Babalawo, we worship every week, the Shango people, they have their own way of doing things, that is another problem. We have to come together, do things together, so that we have a common say. Because that is why when people are referring to Yoruba traditional religion,
when you refer to us together, there's a point that we need to address. Together is lacking in our community.
Yes.
Babalawo ni mi, eri lebe. And it's one of those things that we must address. Factions here, yes, factions there, this, that. And it gives us two parts. There is Babalawo to differ as a profession. There is Babalawo to ṣe ẹ̀sìn Ifá. There are two distinct.
Okay.
There are two distinct. There are two distinct personalities. For instance, Babalawo tó ń differ as a profession ni mí. Babalawo tó ń ṣe ẹ̀sìn tó ń lọ sí ìjọ Ọ̀rúnmìlà àpapọ̀ odù ni mí. Ìjọ tàwa nìyẹn. Ìjọ tiyín ọ̀tọ̀. ẹ̀yin ní religion, so ẹ̀yin náà sí babaláwo as profession and as religion. However, there are so many babalawos. Ní ọdún kan mo kọ́fà lọ́wọ́ Agbọ́ngbọ̀n Ìlúpéjú. Bàbá ìyàwó bàbá ní head choir mister ní head chorister ní ìjọ MFM tó wà níwájú àdúgbò wọn. Máa wá lọ rúbọ nílé bàbá. Èmi ò tí ì lé tẹ̀ ń gbà yẹn, so ọ̀dọ̀ bàbá máa lọ rúbọ, máa pín tí máa dí tí mo fẹ́ ṣe fún màá lọ àjọ máa pín owó ẹbọ, a máa pín gbogbo ẹni. Èmi dẹ̀ like máa rúbọ dáadáa. Wọ́n wá dọ́dọ̀ bàbá wá pè ìwọ ọmọ wa ẹbọ rẹ ti ń pọ̀ jù ẹbọ ó ti ń rúbọ tó ń pọ̀ jù pé because bàbá ti gbé ilé fún tenant, majority àwọn tenant bàbá gbélé fún Christian and Muslim ni wọ́n. Adẹ̀ rúbọ iye iṣu bàbá kẹ̀dẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ̀ǹkùlé ló wà, ẹ̀ǹkùlé tó lẹ̀ wà yẹn bàbá tún lọ kọ́lé tenant sí ẹ̀ǹkùlé tá ti ń rú ẹbọ bíi 15-16 níwájú èṣù. Tí àwọn tenant bá ti jí láàárọ̀ tó bá ti jí wọ́n á lọ complain, so tenant ti ń complain babaláwo ló kọ́lé. Tenant tó lẹ́sìn sílé wọ́n ń ṣe the annoying part ni pé wọ́n ń ṣe ẹ̀sìn, wọ́n ń ṣe Bible study nìkan náà. Àwọn tenant bàbá yẹn ń ṣe Bible study nínú ilé yẹn. Àwọn tó máa ń ṣe Bible study pé àwọn ọ̀fẹ́ ní ṣọ́ọ̀bù àwọn tí ìlú láti ní ṣọ́ọ̀bù tó máa ń ṣe fellowship kékeré wọ́n ń ṣe nínú ilé. Àwọn tó wá ń ṣe fellowship yẹn ló wá complain pé ẹbọ ti ń pọ̀ jù nílé babaláwo. Wọ́n mọ̀ ọ̀kan tó gbalẹ̀ pé ilé babaláwo lọ́wọ́ gbà o, wọ́n wá ń complain pé ẹbọ ti pọ̀ jù. Baba had to tell us to stop. A lè máa rúbọ ìmọ̀ ohun torí pé àwọn tenant ń complain. And it became a shock to me. And this is the Agbọ́ngbọ̀n, àmọ̀ pé Agbọ́ngbọ̀n ọba lè fa ni, this is Agbọ́ngbọ̀n of the whole Ìlúpéjú community. If the Agbọ́ngbọ̀n of a whole community bá lè sọ pé ẹbọ pọ̀, kò ti. So what are we doing? What's happening in our community tó jẹ́ pé babaláwo kan máa sọ pé òun o ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì lòun ń lọ o babaláwo lòun, òun o mọ́ṣáláṣí lòun ń lọ babaláwo lòun. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀?
Now, as I was saying, let me complete that one before I go to the next thing, the one, what you asked. Then we said when we realized that we have to come together and there is no way to have the Shango temple Ogun shrine again, then we now constructed a temple. Then we realize, we make it, we make sure that all the practitioners of Orisa in our community, like Shango devotees, Ogun and Ifa, that we come together to worship. And in that place, we have all the Orishas there. If you are a Shango devotee, there is room for you to worship. And on the day of Shango, the worship day of Shango, we worship Shango together. On the worship day of Osun, we worship Osun together. That is why we have that temple. And that has nothing to do with the position as the president of the International Council for Ifa Religion. As that position, that is the organization which I was elected to, about some babalawos who don't see Ifa as religion. That is the problem. And that is why you realize that when you can see somebody who is a Shango devotee and you realize that all the children are either Muslims and Christians, that one, the first thing we can say about that is that it has to do with the issue of colonization and introduction of this Western education and these alien religions. What they did then, these people that brought Christianity and Islam, they were very smart. They didn't bring Islam and Christianity as something that they have to impose on those people then. It's like, though when we are talking about Islam, you can see something that is violent. We can say that the Muslims, that they force people physically to accept Islam. But Christians at times, they use psychological warfare. When they brought Islam and Christianity then, especially the Muslims, what they did was this. They were telling our people, when they realized that it was difficult for them to convert the people to Islam and Christianity, now they came out with another option, saying, Baba, you can continue worshiping your Ifa. Ẹ máa ṣe Ifá yín lọ. Christianity kò dí Ifá lọ́wọ́. Ṣùgbọ́n ẹ jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ yín kán máa wá. And whenever they are celebrating anything, maybe like Ikore or what do they call it, they will just be going from one house to the other. Today is Galilee. We are going to Galilee. Baba, onífá ẹ jẹ́ ká máa yín tẹ̀lé wa lọ. Wọ́n á jẹ rice ní church. Wọ́n á ṣe kìíní. Then when they go there, they give them gift. And that was where the problem started. You realize that when you see an Ifa priest, the wife will be going to church. And at times, another problem because Ifa was not available, to everybody like the way the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran was available to everybody. When you see a Babalawo, if the children don't learn Ifa, it will be difficult for them to defend themselves when Muslims and Christians are preaching to them.
Sorry to cut in, sir. Sherry, it's another epidemic that's happening within our community. Babalawos whose children, èmi mọ̀ tí èèyàn bá mọ̀ àwọn ibi tí mo ti lọ kọ́fà àti tó 15 places tí mo ní record ẹ̀. Tí àwọn ọmọ wọn decide pé Yahoo làwọn fẹ́ ṣe.
Pé Yahoo.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ pé àwọn bàbá wọn lè support ẹ̀. Mo rí kò ṣe pé mo lè má dárúkọ tí má fẹ́ dárúkọ for them.
No, you don't need to mention. But that one, if they decide that they want to be doing.
Àwọn ọmọ wa ò kọ́fà mọ́, mò ń ṣe babaláwo. Mi ò dẹ̀ fi ọ̀nà tí iṣẹ́ tí mò ń ṣe mi ò fi hàn ọmọ mi.
If their father should support them doing Yahoo, that has to do with the integrity
of the
father. And at times, the problem we are having nowadays is torí àtijẹ. Because some parents, when their children, when they come home and they say, my father, take 50,000 naira, they will not ask, you are a student, you are still learning, where did you get this money? They will be happy. Even, I remember when I was during my NYSC days, I served in the eastern part of this country. And I was discussing with a lady. She told me she just came back from Lagos. And I said, what did you go to Lagos to do? She said she went there to work, that even the parents will be insulting them. They will be telling them, Akaite, a so person just came from Lagos. She brought so amount. You are just sleeping. You have to find some. You understand now, because some parents, they don't have that integrity. They want their children to make money, but they are not after how the money is made. That is what. But coming back to the issue of Babalawos, who don't see Ifa as religion. Right from the beginning, everybody saw Ifa as a religion. Because if you read books from people like Reverend Lijadu, even the one he wrote in 1908 titled Orunmila, if you read that book, you will see that Lijadu himself knew that Ifa is a religion, that the Babalawos, that they see Ifa as religion, and they were trying to introduce Christianity to them. And if you see the conversation between Lijadu and one Babalawo in Okegbo in 1804, according to that book, when they were telling the Babalawo that Jesus is the Lord, the Babalawo was replying them that Orunmila is my own Lord. That means if people like that,
it was that conscious at that point in time.
In 1804, that means that right from the beginning, our fathers, they saw Ifa as religion. But later, they say, according to Professor Sophie Oluwole, as he reported, Reverend Lijadu, that Ifa is not a religion, but there is religion in Ifa. Ifa is not a spirituality, there is spirituality in Ifa. Ifa is not mathematics, but there is mathematics in Ifa.
Do you disagree with that?
I agree with what Reverend Lijadu said and what Iya Sophie Oluwole said, but I don't agree with the people that are quoting Professor Sophie Oluwole now. Because Sophie Oluwole, what she was telling us that Ifa is everything. That you cannot
Ifa
just say
is all encompassing.
You cannot just say Ifa is computer. That Ifa is not computer,
Ifa is much more than computer
in Ifa. But people that are doing that now, they will say Ifa is not a religion. Oluwole didn't say that. She said Ifa is not a religion, but there is religion in Ifa. What she meant is that Ifa is not solely a religion. That is not religion only. That there is everything in Ifa. But people that are saying Ifa is not a religion, they are saying Ifa is not, that Ifa is spirituality. They've forgotten that if we continue following what Sophie Oluwole was saying, she is also saying Ifa is not a spirituality, but there is spirituality in Ifa. What she he says that Ifa is everything. There is everything in Ifa.
All encompassing.
And when you look at it, the problem is most people are saying Ifa is not a religion. If I should tell my children today that I don't practice any religion, Ifa is not a religion, that means I have given them go ahead to practice whatever religion they want to practice.
That's available
they
to
can
them.
Decide to be Christian, but they will say the type of Christian I practice is the one that doesn't disturb me from following my father's spiritual practice heritage. You will see them, they will be going to church, but when I'm celebrating my Ifa, they will come. And when they have a bad dream, they will come for divination.
Do we not see that has a very big negative effect on our society?
It does. That is why we are telling people that Ifa is religion. Ifa is spirituality. Ifa is computer. Ifa is mathematics.
I have an idea.
Ifa is everything.
I have an idea. Kò sí ìlú tí ò sí àjọ awo. And to me, the primary reason of àjọ awo is worship.
Yes.
The primary reason of àjọ babaláwo is to worship.
Yes.
Wala neketa ambo. Kawa àwọn kelu awo de Ẹ̀gbá, àwọn kelu awo de Ìjẹ̀ṣà, Òbùsùndájà òkèrè kúnì mèrè, àṣà ògbó kíṣe olóhùn agánramọ̀ kíṣe olóhùn ẹkùn bílá olóhùn mahara olóhùn mẹ́rí. Àwọn gbogbo wọn ló ṣohun títí tí wọ́n bẹ́ ìlàjọ̀gbẹ̀ àwa bẹ́ ìlàjọ̀gbẹ̀ àwa forí balẹ̀ fún kí n ká má lọ kà á sán fúnra wa. So a fi orí balẹ̀ fún Olúikin is a symbolic statement of worship.
Yes.
Ìdí tí a ṣe ní consensus àdúyàwó ìlú yìí ọlájúwàwó ń bẹ pé kí ni kí gbogbo wa lè máa péjọ pọ̀ worship. However, Senate worship yìí ti wá kúrò nínú àjọàwó ń sìn, a ti wá reduce àjọàwó to meeting.
Yes.
Removing the worshiping essence, the religious essence of that worship from the àjọàwó, because kò gbọdọ̀ sí ìlú tí ò gbọdọ̀ nílé ìjọsìn. Ìlú tó bá ti lájọàwó ti nílé ìjọsìn, because ibi àjọàwó gangan ní ìjọsìn ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. But it's unfortunate that now ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìlú ló ní àjọàwó, wọ́n ní àjọ babaláwo tí wọ́n ní ilé ìjọsìn. Why? Because tó bá ti gba àṣẹ kọ́ńkọ́ àti bọ iki wọn, àwa fúnra wa àti ń reduce kíní wa to the spiritual aspect of àjọàwó ní pé ká bọ ikin.
Yes.
Ká bọ ilẹ̀, ká bọ àwọn orúnmọlẹ̀ tó bá wà lọ́jọ́ ọ̀sẹ̀.
Yes.
We stopped at that.
Yes.
Nígbà tá lọ ṣe ìpàdé ìwé ní Ọ̀yọ́, tá lọ ṣe ìpàdé ìwé ẹ̀sìn, àwọn babaláwo tó wà lọ́yọ́ ń sọ fún wa ní ilé ìjọba Ọ̀yọ́ yẹn, ilé ìjọba tó wà lọ́yọ́, ìjọ Ọ̀rúnmìlà tó wà ní Ọ̀yọ́, Jàdúláwọ̀ tó wà lọ́yọ́, wípé ti wà in the 1800s. Tí ìjọ ìbá ti wá wà in the 1800s, báwo ló ṣe wáyé? Mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbé question lọ́wọ́, wọ́n wá ń sọ pé àwọn bàbá yẹn máa ń wá jókòó, wọ́n wá ń gbọ̀sẹ̀, pé ibi ìgbọ̀sẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀, kán ṣọ̀sẹ̀ fún fa, kán ṣe gbá, kán ṣe náà gba àìwá, gbogbo máa péjọpọ̀ níbí, kán máa pàdé, wọ́n á sùn yẹ̀rẹ̀ fa, wọ́n á ṣeré fa, wọ́n á lágogo, wọ́n á ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀, and that's worship. Àti lùlù, àti kọrin, àti jó, àti dúpẹ́ fún oore tàná, àwa fi jó àti ayọ̀ fún àwọn orúnmọlẹ̀ láti wá gba oore ìníbọ̀. Kí ló dé tá a lè replicate àwọn tenant ìgbà yẹn tó jẹ́ kí tó sì jẹ́ káwọn ọjọ́ yẹn dúró ìjọ àti 18 something tó sì dúró dì sí. Kí ló tá a bá ní àjọàwó? Now I'm throwing the question to you now. I'm challenging you. Sorry, sir. I'm challenging you. I'm challenging you as the president of the National Council of Ifa Religion that ẹni oríṣiríṣi àjọàwó ló report sunday sí yín. Alájọàwó ń bí o, àràbà ìlú wa rèé o, àràbà àwọn ọ̀dẹ́ níjọ.
Sure. Thank you so much for that question. In everywhere where they have Araba, they have Ijo.
I want to disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I understand you. What you are looking at the physical structure. That when you get there, that you want to see a structure where they say, this is our temple, this is where we gather every week. In our tradition, right from the beginning, what they do is they have we have shrines, family shrines in our houses, where every week on the worship day of Orunmila, all the members of the family, they go to their shrine, to Ifa shrine, as you have said, for worship, because we will pray. And you give thanks to Orunmila. Then after that, you do a kind of divination. Then we make ebo. That ebo is like Iwuri, prayer, when we are doing ebo. Then after that, they will sing, dance. Besides that, in each community where they have Oluwo or Araba, because every week is for the family, then they have Itadogun.
Itadogun awo kìí sì yẹ.
Itadogun awo kìí yẹ. That Itadogun can be said like monthly. What they did then is every week we have to worship in our house. That is family affairs. For every 4 weeks, which is Itadogun, we have to go to the house of the head of the community to worship, to do this. And they do that till now. Even in some places like Ibadan here, they do it every 2 weeks, which is Isan. But what they do is they go to the house of Araba. All the awos that are close to that place, they go there. But if you are far from it, from the place, if you are an Oloye, Iliawo, you have to be there. They go there to do everything that has to do with worship. They do divination, making neighbor, they sing, they dance, they do everything that we can. But in some places, they've reduced it to just ordinary meeting, as you've said, due to the economic situation of our land. And some people, they will be looking at the time that this Iliawo that we have today, please let us do whatever we want to do. It is important because I have another where to go, because they will be in haste. That some will stay to do that thing, while some will go. That is one. At times, some people, they believe that nowadays, because everybody is somehow turning selfish, they say, I have my Ifa at home. I will do. And don't forget that besides weekly worship, in Orisa tradition, we do daily worship. That is every day, every morning. And that is how we were trained. And to wake up early in the morning, like 5 a.m., right from childhood. My father will wake us up. Even if you are dozing, she will just be taking water, spraying on your face. And at times, my father will even give you a singing when you are sleeping. Because that is the way we were trained. And nowadays, what we are seeing as Ile Ijosin today, like the temple, unless we are trying to deceive ourselves, we are doing that one in a modern way. Now, like we are copying the practitioners of foreign religions. And we need it.
Do you think that
that is the structure?
My question is, my own grouse is this. Do we not have our own template of worship that is different?
We have. That's what we are saying.
Why do we have to? If you go in our temple now, we have drum sets, we have this, we have that. Drum set. Dr. Atunde Adebola will agree with this. That drum set is not a part of our own societal acoustic.
Okay.
Jans.
When we are talking about all these drum sets, I agree that it's alien, it's foreign to us. But at times, when you look at it, you can compare it to bembe. It was fashioned after bembe that we use for Oya. They only modernize it. It's like when you see somebody today, when we are doing burial ceremony, and you see all these, what do they call them? Undertakers dancing. When you do it today, people will say you are copying Christianity. It is not. That is the way the burial system in Orisha tradition. Somebody will carry the posi. They will be dancing, and that posi, they will make sure that they visit all the houses that the Oku used to visit when he or she was alive. They will be using that posi to touch the door or the building of the houses in the community. That is a way of saying goodbye to those places.
Before the
burial. But nowadays, because the Oyinbos, they condemn on it. The Christians, they say it is a way of ebo. It is satanic. Then when we abandon it, now they rebranded it. They bring it as undertaker to us.
It is my prayer.
That is one.
It is my prayer that as the president of the National Council of Religion, we will see to it that in your tenure, there are more temples at home.
Yes, wait.
Now, emphasis on at home.
I understand at home. Ilé là ń ṣe ká tó ṣòde. Ilé la ti ń kẹ́ṣọ̀ ròde. No, bàbá wa wí. Then as we were saying, this issue of worship, that we are saying some of the things we are doing are fashioned after Christianity, and there is nothing we can do about it at times, because when you look at it, our own day of worship should be every 4 days. Today is Ogun. I think today is Ogun worship day. Today is Orunmila worship day. Tomorrow is Ogun worship day. Now, if we are saying today is Saturday for Orunmila, Jomaro now, which is 4 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be another Orunmila worship day. Will I stop my children from going to school because we want to worship that day? That is why some people, they thought over it and they said, maybe we should make our own worship day every weekend.
That opens me up to the concept of education within our system.
Yes.
You mentioned the children. You see, I wrote an article some years back. The term of the article is education begins when you ask why. Ìbéèrè ni ohun àkọ́kọ́ tó mú kí ẹ̀kọ́ wáyé. Ìbéèrè ló ń ṣílẹ̀kùn ẹ̀kọ́. Now, ẹ̀kọ́ tá à ń kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa láyé òde òní, in all sincerity, tenet, if you look at the tenet of the Western education system, it's not designed to solve any African problem. So, which means that the degrees, I know there are some professors and doctors who want to disagree with me now. Well, I am shattering the table, but I believe that there is no education designed, there's no Western education system that can in any way solve our own indigenous problem. And this is my point now. If there are no indigenous education system, there used to be an indigenous education system before.
Yes.
That our fathers designed. Ní ìgbà ìwáṣẹ̀, tí a bá bí ọmọ, ọjọ́ kẹta, a kìtà ọmọ, which is pé a ṣe ọ̀sẹ̀dáyé, oníká kìtà ọmọ. Now, tá a bá ti wá ṣe ìkọ̀sẹ̀dáyé ọmọ, and that is where the competency comes into play. Tá a bá ṣe ìkọ̀sẹ̀dáyé ọmọ, from the ìkọ̀sẹ̀dáyé ọmọ, àti lè mọ possible professions.
Yes.
Ọmọ yẹn lè ṣe. Àmọ́ tó bá yẹ obìnrin ni, àmọ́ possible ọkùnrin tó lè fẹ́.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Àmọ́ àwọn èèwọ̀ ẹ̀. A ní insight nítorí ní ọ̀nà bí journey ìrìn àjò ọmọ náà ṣe máa rí. With all of this insight, I were in the position to give informed decisions nínú ìrìn àjò ọmọ yẹn. Tọ́mọ yẹn bá ti wá pé state kan, á wà mú lọ kọ́ṣẹ́. Iṣẹ́ tó wà in line pẹ̀lú tí a ti ní knowledge àyànmọ́ àkọsẹ̀jáyé ẹ̀. Ọmọ yẹn wá kọ ó lè kọ 12 years to become a professor in that field. By the time tó máa pé 18, 20 and above, ọmọ yẹn is already a certified professor in that field. Bó jẹ́ pé carpentry ni, pẹ́pẹ́ agbẹ́gilére ni, tí ọmọ yẹn èrè tọ́mọ yẹn bá gbẹ́, àmọ́ pé professor ló gbẹ́ èrè yìí. That is the template of our own indigenous education system. It has changed. The 6334 education system changed it. How do we, as a people, see a way of reintroducing systems that can educate our young ones, and at the same time, because education is useless if it cannot solve the problem of society.
Thank you.
So how do we begin to educate our young ones to solve education using the knowledge of Ifa and Orisa to solve them? Those are things that I think that we should be able to look at.
Thank you so much. You are really saying the truth, because the education that was given to us, that system was designed.
I don't like when they say given to us. We collected it.
Okay. they gave it to us and we collected it. That was introduced to us. That educational system was designed to benefit the people who introduced it to us. You understand now? Because when they started this issue of education, one of the purposes was for us just to be able to read and write. But what did they want us to be able to read? To be able to read the Holy Bible. That was why even when people like Sama Ajayi Crowther and others, when they, in their efforts to translate the Holy Bible to Yoruba, and their effort to reduce Yoruba into writing, but they didn't do it for anything. Then they did it so that people will be able to read the Holy Bible and they will be able to accept Christianity. That was why the system they introduced to us then is not the one that we encourage people to be versed in this technology and science. But it is nowadays that people later realize that these people, that their interest, the system of education given to us is not the one that can advance us. Now, coming back to our own traditional system of education, it will be possible for us to go into that when we have freedom in every ramification, because we only have a political freedom, and that is what our people agitated for, to have independence. We don't have a religious freedom. We don't have cultural freedom. Rather, it is when we have this freedom in totality that we can talk about it. You can see that in places where they have freedom, that we can say real freedom, you see, they teach their children with their mother tongue, their own language.
Well, what do I want to say now? It is we are getting there already.
Yes.
Now my question is, see, freedom comes by asking, whether I like it or not. And,
yes.
There are works that have to be done for us to even demand for anything. I was saying yesterday, when we spoke yesterday, I told you that when we were designing the Ifa Religious Studies curriculum, the idea behind this was for us to give our young ones alternative to the religious studies curriculum that they have in school. When we have it, because my child, I should be able to tell my child, there are two questions I want to ask you there. Number one, I'm a liberal person, and my parents did a lot of things to me to ensure that I was not liberal, yet I was liberal. And I will not now go back to become another version of my parents to my children. So what I can do is to be able to say, is to be a good advocate and be liberal enough to my children and advocate enough for them. Pé wo ìṣẹ̀ṣe ń pè ìṣẹ̀ṣe rè. Ìtàn pè ní ilé, ìtàn pè nílé, ìtàn pè nílé rè. That is liberality. And I can now advocate for ìṣẹ̀ṣe because I want my children to practice ìṣẹ̀ṣe. But I would eventually become another version of my parents, what I fought against. If I now tell my child that, tipa ti kúkú ìṣọ̀gbọ́n fífẹ́ ràn lógbó, tipa ti kúkú ló fi ṣe. Now, what will I tell? What will now be my selling point to my child? If I want to tell my child, what are the selling points? That's number one. Number two, if I now want to educate my child in the way of Orunmila, how do I educate him, my child? Because the education of Ile-Ifa co-align with the education of the Western world. And it takes someone with extra confusion láti cover àti kàwé papọ̀. Because time wey cover Ile-Ifa, nǹkan ló fẹ́ lọ léèwé. Wọ́n láti léèwé, wọ́n tún fún ẹni iṣẹ́ tó máa ṣe assignment tó máa ṣe ńlé, tó máa ṣe so kò sí so option méjì ni, ìsídà kò kọ́fà kò mọ̀fà kò má mọ̀wé. Or kò kọ̀wé kò mọ̀wé kò bá ra Ifá. Ó wá ẹni tó bá wá rí nínú wa tó wá kọ́fà tó mọ̀fà tó tún wá mọ̀wé káàkiri. Because the template that was designed is not designed for you to even know, it's for you to know one or nothing. So, kí la máa wá ṣe ìrúngbà wo là ń gbà láti rí pé education system wá better? Kí làwọn iṣẹ́ tá a ti ṣe? What are the works that we are doing in the education sector? Because tá a bá fi alternative sílẹ̀ bàbá, kò sí ní ta fẹ́ lash on. A gbọ́dọ̀ àwọn tó à ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, they did something, they were doers. Wọ́n kọ̀wé, wọ́n ṣe gbá, wọ́n ṣe they took actions, and the actions that were visible. What are the actions that we are taking? we want to antagonize these actions. What are the things that we are doing?
Thank you. You have two questions now. The first one is about liberalism and how do you make your children practice what you believe in without forcing them, without imposing it on them. I believe we don't need to impose anything on any child, but the first thing is for you to be a role model, a good role model to them, because the way they see you, what you practice, and once your children are proud of you and they are proud of what you practice, they will surely follow your
I'm
your
proud of my
step.
mother, but I didn't feel I left it to life.
But you are proud of your mother, but you were not proud of what she practiced as a religion. That is what I'm saying. And that is one. Another thing is to give your children knowledge, the necessary knowledge they need, so that they will be able to withstand their friends from other faiths whenever they are discussing their faith. You know, when you don't give them that knowledge of Ifa, it will be difficult for them to defend what you want them to practice. That is one. And because I can remember that people like me, I'm into research today because my father gave me the necessary knowledge and he gave me that opportunity to learn Ifa, because I can still remember that there were some friends of my father whose children are not into Isheshe today. And I can say why. I remember that my father was somebody who was somehow liberal, and he gave us free hand to do whatever we want to do. For instance, now, whenever we were celebrating Egungun, we would want to follow our father to the shrine. Not because we were interested in what he wanted to do in the shrine, but we were interested in eating akara, moi moi, and the meat. And at times, when they gave us meat to eat, you know, as they are doing appeasement, they put a lot of moi moi and the good ones like the edo, iwe adie, everything in the shrine. But me and my brothers brothers, we will be happy. We will even be telling our father that the moi that you put in the shrine is not enough. Oh. Leave more moi. Oh. And whenever they went out from the shrine, we will go back to the shrine.
We eat it.
Then we will eat everything and we will be happy. But there was a day that a friend of my father, he just opened the door of the shrine and he saw us eating the food that they put there. And he called my father, Oyewusi, irú rádaràda wo ló fi gbá àwọn ọmọ rẹ yìí? Gbogbo nǹkan tá a gbé sídìí eégún ni wọ́n ti jẹ. And my father said, ṣe báwọn náà lọ mọ eégún. Jẹ́ kán jẹ́ àti lò é ta fẹ́ lò ń bẹ̀. But what I realized today is that my father's
liberality.
That my father's friend, that friend, kò sí ọmọ ẹ̀ kankan tó mọ nǹkan kan nípa ìṣẹ̀ṣe lẹ́nìí. Because maybe it was too, as you know, people like that will be saying, if you go near Egungun, if you eat that, you will die. If you do this, you see, you have to make sure that you let your children see what you are doing as good things. Not that they will be thinking it is satanic, the way they present it to them outside. That is one. The other question that you raised now has to do with learning Ifa, combining it with this Western education. See, we cannot compare today's system with what we have yesterday, because we will take people who are making efforts to make sure that Ifa verses are written down. Because in the nearest future, our children will have access to all the books. They will have access to all those things. Because today, I can't expect my children to learn Ifa the way I learned Ifa, because I will have to go to a Babalawo, maybe 10 miles to our house. We will trek there. And when we got there, we say, Baba, mo fẹ́ kọ́ Èjì Ògbè. Baba will not say, Èjì Ògbè, ó yá learn. Baba will just say, sit down. Then you will remember one Agumu that he was, he has started since yesterday. And to say, ó yá lọ gbé Agumu yẹn lọ gún. When it is noon, they will give you lunch. And around 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., Baba will now say, ṣé ẹ fẹ́ parí Agumu yẹn? Ó yá ẹ máa bọ̀ ẹ wá kọ́ fátẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ kọ́, ẹ máa lọ lé yín. I don't think my children can do that, because when they go somewhere I want to learn, and you give them Agumu to go today, and tomorrow they will just tell you bàbá mi ò lè lọ síbẹ̀ yẹn lọ kọ́fà mọ́ o wàhálà ibẹ̀ ti pọ̀ because at times a máa gún nǹkan ọwọ́ wa kò ní ṣe é nà mọ́ ọwọ́ máa rí báyìí wàá ṣẹ̀ máa fọwọ́ ṣe báyìí ni ó lè dọjọ́ kejì kọ́wọ́ yẹn tó nà wàá gún èpo ọ̀bọ̀ wàá máa sín ìyà yẹn àwọn ọmọ ò lè jẹ́ láti kọ́fà that is why tó jẹ́ pé a gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kí ifá wà ní kíkọ sílẹ̀ a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ bàbá wa àti gbogbo àwọn onímọ̀ tán ti ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ifá tán ti kọ́ ṣùgbọ́n ó tún kù ká ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ tó bá wá yá àwọn generation kan bọ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú that they will compile all these books together then a lè ní gbogbo ẹ̀ ní single book ó wá lè tóbi àmọ́ bó ṣe máa tó ìyẹn wọn tá a wá sọ pé báwo la ṣe fẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ wa education tán máa ní kó wà in line with our cultural practices kí wọ́n lè rí ìwúlò ifá fún technology at everything àwọn bàbá wa tó ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ifá and mathematics ifá and computer wọ́n ti ṣe iṣẹ́ tó pọ̀ what we believe now is that in the nearest future pé ìwé there will be books in Yoruba to teach science and technology as people have been agitating for it. And time is coming when the government, they will accept it. Everything will be, you see, and the curriculum that people are doing for IFA studies, like the one you mentioned you have been doing, is a very great job because it's like you have foresight. Because what you are writing down as curriculum now, if we give it to the government to consider it, if they don't, another government is coming that we accept it. Because if we don't have it and somebody just call you and say, oh, from the Ministry of Education in Oyo State, we want to introduce IFA religious studies in primary schools and secondary schools, we need the curriculum. Is it that time they call you that you will be running letter to prepare a curriculum? But once you have it, that means we are progressing. We are really progressing because at times when I look at what is happening today about IFA, I'm always happy comparing to what happened during our days when we were in secondary school or when we were in the university.
Talking about your days, about you.
We will surely get there.
Talking about your days, your emergence as the president of the International Council of Religion had a lot of controversy, and it's something that I want us to talk about. And thank you for your time. Your responses have been wonderful. But then there is something that struck my mind. Your emergence as the president of the International Council for Ifa Religion has been, has its own share of controversy, and you've been calm enough to weather that storm. And I appreciate your resilience in that aspect. For me, I know there are so many young people, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I have a hand in it from both sides. And so you took over from Dr. Solagbade Popola as the president of the National Council for Religion. He took over from Professor Fayemi, and I hope that you are going to hand over. The professor dropped it to a doctor. Doctor, give it to a doctor. Please, when you are giving it back to him, please give it to the professor.
To the professor.
So, however, there is division in the house. One would think that your first and pivotal role as president would be to ensure that there is a unified house. What is the cause of the division? Because this division reverberates down the line. I have friends that naturally we don't have problems. But one di pé ọmọ ilé Ifá wo ni wọ? Tó pa bàbá yín lélẹ̀ mi ò bá ẹ ṣe o. And these are one of the blessings we have in Ìṣẹ̀ṣe is the fact that our young people have great minds. The challenge that we now have now is that as much as we have those great minds, ìwòrìwà ń dá nìkan rìn. Ìwòrìwà sì lé nìkan. A ti ṣe ń dá nìkan tá yóò ń yẹ ni. Tèmi ṣe gbọ́ kọ́nu fá nìyẹn. Àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wa tí wọ́n ń dá rìn by the virtue of àwọn ìjà and the differences between the elders within the community. Kí ló fa disparity? How did we get here? Please, I want you to be factual. I want you to say the truth, and I want you to. I know you say the truth all the time, but then I want you to be. I don't want you to be reserved about it. I want you to express yourself.
Thank you so much.
Because of the young people like myself who are listening to you.
Yes, thank you so much. The International Council for Ifa Religion was established around 1999 with Professor Idowu Odeyemi as the founding president. But the problem started around 2013. And that problem started because of money.
You want to, let me know. Let me know.
It started because of the money. Then, the governor of Osun State gave certain amount of money, precisely around 33 million naira, to the council for renovation of the World Ifa Temple, okay, that's Ile Ife. And then there was about 2 committees set up for the renovation. We have what we call building committee. From that building committee, I think we have a technical committee and rehabilitation committee. One is 6. We have 6 members in the in what we call technical committee, and the rehabilitation we have about 16 members. And I happen to be a member of the rehabilitation committee. And the technical committee was to liaise between the governments of Osun State and the rehabilitation committee to get out the money. And to cut the story short, there was disagreement between the members, among the members of the committee, let me put it that way, that the money should be, some believe that all the money should be used for renovation of the temple, while some believe that part of the money should be used for renovation of the temple and the other part should be used for another project, maybe like buying land along Ife-Ibadan Express or Lagos-Ibadan Express. And that thing generated a lot of controversy. But the then president believed that the only way to solve that problem was to sideline the people who believe part of the money should be used for another project.
The then president.
Who
was the then president?
Professor Idowu Odeyemi.
Of late memories.
Of late memory. Olódùmarè káwo rere ó jẹ nílẹ̀ ẹ̀mọ̀ rẹ̀ kó Olódùmarè ó fún Alẹ́kùn àtẹ̀já, because he really tried for the International Council for Ifa Religion. Àì máa rìn kí orí má mì kó Olódùmarè ó ṣàforíjì fún wọn. Then after the renovation and after the commissioning, because I was one of the people that was sidelined, we didn't know how the money was spent. They didn't let us know anything about the meeting again. And after the renovation, we all went there for commissioning and we were trying to forget about everything. You know, I was there representing a body. And the problem started when people started...
Sorry, what body were you representing?
I was there as a member of Orunmila Young Stars International. I was in the committee representing Orunmila Young Stars International. And a friend of mine was there representing Isheshe Youth Organization, IYO. Then when the problem started, people started calling us, how did you spend 33 million over this? See the renovation you did, the toilet you built. And we were telling them we didn't know anything about all these things. And that was when we started to agitate for, proper accountability. That our president should come and give accounts. Then when we started, we wrote them. They ignored the messages, and that thing we had to write on Facebook, because if they didn't respond to the inbox messages, when we put up open message, they will respond. That was when they now organized a meeting to give accounts, which we were also not invited, the people that were agitating for accountability. Then during that meeting, they gave accounts, but we were not satisfied because we have our own facts. Then we said they should give account in a proper way and invite all the members of the committees, that we don't believe in what they did. But the next thing we saw was that they organized the meeting. They said they held a meeting, and in that meeting, they sent letter of expulsion to us. They said they expel us from the organization, people that are agitating for accountability. And we were surprised that, how will you expel me from the organization just because I'm saying you need to give accounts? It's for you to be able to convince us. Then another thing is that I received letter from a lawyer that I need to apologize for trying to, tarnish the image of defamation of character, trying to tarnish the image of Professor Fayemi, that he mismanaged money. Then because we had our own fact, we said, there is no way, we are not apologizing for anything. If they want, because they said in the letter that if we are not ready to apologize, that will lead to legal something. We said they should go ahead. And when our lawyer, then we employ a lawyer, we responded to their letter, but when they were being slow about it, we were the one who went to court first. Then I remember that the two things that we went to the court for, the first thing is that they didn't have the right to expel us. The second thing is that they said we don't have the right to, how do I put it? We don't have the right to ask them for, to give accounts. And another thing, they said, so far they've expelled us, we don't have that right. Then when we got to the court, the first stage, we were able to sort that one out. The court said they could not expel us because we have started agitating for the accountability
before the
expulsion, that one is not right. And they said we were owing some annual dues. And the court said that because of that one also was dismissed. The court said we have the right to sue them. The only thing now is to discuss the issue of the money. And that was when the court later, the case was kicked out of the court because the judge said our lawyer was not serious about him. Because I remember that the day the court and the judge did that, our lawyer was not in the court then. And the judge was angry. And the judge said, if we are serious about it, we should, restart the procedure, the case. That was how everything was. Because I remember that Baba Elebuibon, they play a very major role then. They said we should not go to court again. We should forget about it. That's why we didn't restart the case. We said,
do you know that I'm just hearing that's the first time that you guys went to court?
The case went to court. Then when people like Baba Elebuibon and the then Araba Agbaye, Baba Aworeni, Baba wasn't happy about it. And my father was also alive then, the Araba of Ibadan. Then my father also said we should not pursue the case again because Baba Elebuibon came to Ibadan. Though before that time, there was a peace meeting that we had in Ile-Ife at OAU then. But that one, there was a problem of that one again. But the final one was when Baba Elebuibon came to Ibadan to talk to my father, the then Arab of Ibadan. That was when we decided not to pursue the case again. That was why we didn't serious about it and our lawyer didn't go and the court kicked out the case. That is that. Then after that, before the case was kicked out, there was a time that when they held election, we said we were not comfortable with the outcome of the election because the election took place in Ilawe. And we said if at all we wanted to do election, it should be in our headquarters, Oketase, Ile-Ife. And that one, together with the issue of sending letter of a lawyer to us, that was why we kicked against the emergence of Chief Solagbade Pupola then. But later, around 2018, there was a meeting in Lawe. That was when we agreed. Because before that, 2018, we were running parallel governments. We have two presidents. Chief Solagbade Pupola, Professor Fayemi handed over to. Some of them didn't recognize him as the president. We held another election in Ile-Ife, where Dr. Abiodun Agbola emerged as the president. Then we were having two presidents till 2018. But in 2018, we held a meeting in Ilawe. That was when we all agreed that Chief Solagbade Pupola should be the president, and he started then.
Did a tremendous job, a wonderful job as president.
Yes. And he did well. He really did well. And from 2018, he has used 6 years. And we were supposed to have election after the 4 years, because it's 2 years. But one can use 2 terms, which is 4 years. But he has used 6 years. And we wanted 3 times. With terms, we wanted to have election. That was why in May this year, we had a Congress, and people have been trying to show interest until that day. But what we don't understand is that we were expecting the president to come to the Congress. Then after the election, maybe you could hand over. But that very day, he resigned.
No. The dynamics, there is a dynamics that is somehow, and the dynamics is that we used to celebrate Ifa festival in Oketase, and now we now do Ifa festivals in Ekiti. However, Dr. Solagbade Pupola was the president of the International Council for Religion even while we were doing Ifa festival in Ekiti, where you said that he resigned to this. I'm not in support of what he did, neither am I against what he did. To the best of my knowledge, he did whatever he did based on whatever he feels he wants to do.
Yes.
Now, I'm asking this question because I don't want my generation, to pile up enemies that we don't even need to pile
let
up.
me come in. I understand where you are coming from. We have to, then we only celebrated Ifa festival in Ile-Ife. But later they realized that besides Ile-Ife, there are places that we have to include.
What is Dr. Solagbade's role in this whole? Because when it was the case you had was with Professor Fayemi, Dr. Solagbade's
I don't want to go into this thing too much, but we have to dig into it now. Now, after the problem, when the problem started about mismanagement of fund, Professor Fayemi didn't want to come to Ile-Ife again, because he believed that people are still saying you need to give accounts, and he didn't want to come to Ile-Ife. And the problem has started. Then there was a project before that the International Council for Ifa Religion wanted to extend the Ifa festival and the pilgrimage to other places where we have sacred sites, like Oyo and Ekiti. And they've located all those places. Wherever Orunmila live, they call it Igeti, because they have Igeti in Ile-Ife. But people of Ife, they promoted Itase at the expense of Igeti. Igeti was not given the due recognition that was supposed to be given to it, though we have Igeti in Ekiti also. Then Professor Fayemi and the other people now, after emergence of Chief Pupola as the president, because Chief Pupola also decided not to come to Ile-Ife. And at the beginning, Chief Pupola advised Professor Fayemi to refund the money, because Chief Pupola didn't take a kobo from that money, because we have the record of the people that shared the money with the Professor Fayemi.
You don't think there are any underlying factors?
No.
Aside from the money?
Aside from the money, what I believe is that because Chief Popola was handed over to as the president, he had to support the predecessor.
Yeah.
The predecessor, he has to protect his image. And what I believe that Chief Popola should have done then, that is my own opinion. He should have invited us. We are like children to him. Say, oh, my boys, come and see me. Then say, though this is the situation of things, I also agree that they mismanage money. If you should say that is the bitter truth, that they mismanage money, but I want us to forget about it. But we were angry because instead of him to invite us and say, let us settle this thing, he decided to support the people that we are accusing.
So you feel like the enemy of my enemy is my
yes,
the enemy of my friend is my enemy.
We believe he shouldn't have done that. He should have invited us like children, saying we all know that there is mismanagement of money, no doubt about that, because we have the list of how the money was shared.
Do you think that having two festivals is it a blessing or a curse?
I'm talking anyway. Then it was because of that they now say, if we could not come to Ile-Ife again, Professor Fayemi and the people that are supporting him, that we should start our own in Ekiti. And we don't have problem with people starting anything in Ekiti because we can join everything together. We can start in Ekiti and end in Ile-Ife. The only bone of contention is to have two divinations, two Ifadida for Odun Ifa Agbaye, because that project in Ekiti is something tó ti wà nílẹ̀ tí Ifa Council fẹ́ ṣe pé ká máa visit gbogbo ibi tó yẹ ní Ekiti ká dẹ̀ parí ẹ̀ sí Ifẹ̀. But with that way, the way they started it, ìyẹn ló generate controversy. But is it because we accuse you of mismanagement of fund? That's why you went to start that in Ekiti.
So it was Professor Fayemi that started Ekiti?
Yes, he started it, but Chief Popola was the president. He has handed over to Chief Popola again, but he was the brain behind it. But we are not saying it's not good because it's something that we all believe in. Bóyá ká ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ pé ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní Èkìtì ká wá máa parí ẹ̀ sí Ifẹ̀. But because of the fight, àwọn wá lọ ṣe in a way tó fi máa tako
as a president of the national, as a current president.
Yes, wait. Wọ́n wá lọ ṣe in a way tó fi máa tako tá à ń ṣe.
I don't want to forget this.
No, okay, you can.
As a current president of the National Council for Religion, do you still think of the viability between Ekiti and Ife for a unified front? Do you still think that vision is possible?
Yes, it's possible.
Are you willing to work towards that?
Yes, why not? Because there is no fight. Ekiti, I can also go there. I don't disturb them. Even there was a time my children, they went there. They said they wanted to go to Ekiti Ifa Festival. I said, you are free to go anywhere you want to go. There are some people, they will go to Ekiti, they will come to Ile-Ife. If there is no fight, everybody can go there. But the only bone of contention is that we don't think it is good for us to have two Ifa divinations.
What step are you taking?
No, as we were saying, we are coming to that because we have held meeting with them. We thought that when Chief Popola left the office, that another person took over the office, we'll be able to solve the problem. But to our own surprise,
was Chief Popola aware of your election?
Yes, he was aware because he was aware that there is a Congress, there's going to be Congress and there is going to be election.
Naturally, for every organization, the leadership of the organization must be the one in charge of the Congress. Except stated otherwise.
According to our constitution, the president can be in charge and the secretary, the general secretary, can be.
Who initiated the conference of the election?
Because people, many organizations, we call them corporate organizations. We have corporate membership. And they wrote to the secretary. And the secretary consulted the board of trustees. It was the chairman of the board of trustees and the secretary that called for the Congress because the president was not ready to come to Ile-Ife.
Now, the Ajo Araba and Oluwawo as a corporate body.
Ajo Araba and Oluwawo is a corporate body.
Are they under the division of the Ifa Council or the Ifa Council is under the division of the Ajo Araba and Oluwawo?
Thank you for that. Ajo Araba and Oluwawo, they, according to our constitution, they are the last pillar of hope. I understand what I'm coming. They are the last pillar of hope of the council. The constitution says when the council cease to exist, that the Ajo Araba and Oluwo will take over everything about the council. But the Ajo Araba and Oluwo, they are an organ of the International Council for Ifa Religion, the spiritual organ.
Okay, the Ajo Araba and Oluwo is the spiritual organ of the body
according to the constitution. Okay, and the Araba Agbaye, who is the chairman of Ajo Araba and Oluwo, is also the chairman of the board of trustees of the International Council for Ifa Religion. But because of the crisis, the president has been refusing to come to Ile-Ife, the headquarters. That was why when the Congress was organized, we were expecting the president to come.
This is my opinion.
Resigned.
This is my opinion. It's not my opinion. This is a thought that flashed my mind. Is that Dr. Oshola Popola being the president, in terms of status, in terms of age, yes. Yes. And we cannot take these factors away. Don't you think that those factors play a role? I'm not someone that's supposed to be looking for you. You're supposed to be looking for me. Do you think that factor played a role?
Yes, you are right. That's why even we are thinking of even visiting him very soon, because when we want to believe that, because as the ex-president is my predecessor,
and he was not there to hand over to you.
Yes, he didn't come. He wasn't there to hand over.
Were you in good terms with him?
Yes, I'm in good terms with him. I'm like a child to him.
Did you call him? Did you?
No, I have not called him after that, but we did in the past, and even when he was the president, I went to his house like twice when we were trying to solve the problem. We were trying to see how we can iron out things and match things together. We went there for a peace meeting like twice. As the president, Dr. Agbola was the secretary that we recognized. But Dr. Agbola is of the opinion that everything should be in Ile-Ife. That is the general secretary. Why the president believe in...
It could be anywhere.
It could be anywhere.
It could be Ekiti, it could be Ibadan, it could be...
And prefer Ekiti. You can see the
disparity.
Disparity.
But
now, with the new regime now, we are looking into how we can settle the rift.
But now, the part now is that Dr. Shola Popola now has International Council of Ifa Spirituality.
No. It's the International Congress of Orisa Spirituality.
Ifa and Orisa Spirituality.
That is a new organization that he established.
Will that organization do you think that is like a counter organization to the Ifa Council? Or do you think that even with the organization you can still cohabit?
We can still work together. We don't see that as a problem because there are many organizations. It depends on the agenda, the interest. If we believe that our interest is in line with each other, we can work together. Why not? We are all brothers, because everybody in that organization, they are the people we know. They will know us. We have been working together before. We can still work together.
Thank you very much for giving that insight. I don't know if you still want to talk more about this, but then...
No, if you have another question.
Well, I don't want to ruffle the feathers. I just want to, I just want young people to have this information so that you just won't continue to fight blindly and will not continue to inherit enemies that we know nothing about. I learned that in a very bad way, and I don't want people to learn about it. But there are so many things we can learn. We should not, to me, we should not, because of inherited enemies, impede ourselves from growth, impede ourselves from accumulating knowledge, impede ourselves from seeing the future and then bring a shining light for the Isheshi community. That's one. One of those challenges is religious syncretism, where people say, is God, is this, is that. And to me, I use my social media to educate people and see that we don't go through visual syncretism as such as I use my platform to educate people. As the president, how can we curb syncretism, and how do we think that, what do you think that we can do to ensure that the initial portals of our knowledge remains what they are? They are not synthesized, across board.
Thank you so much. And we cannot say that we are not aware that many people are syncretizing Ifa with either Christianity or you see something like Lukumi. And when you go to even US, Venezuela, you see Santeria. Even in Brazil, you see. And when you go to Trinidad and Tobago, you hear something like Shango Baptiste. Those people, they will tell you that, if you look into the history of those people, the people that introduced Orisa worship to them there, they were the enslaved people and their descendants. And we were told that in those days, because of the, colonial masters, their slave masters, that they were forcing them to practice Christianity. And anybody who they found practicing Orisa or Ifa religion, then they will punish them. They could even give them capital punishment, kill them. And that was how they came about this issue of syncretism. Like in their house of worship, even when they are worshiping Shango, you will see the image of Jesus. And under that image, they will have their paraphernalia of Shango there. The Orisa icons will be there. But anybody who enters will see a church. They'll be reading Bible. But when they get the certain stage, they will put aside the Bible and start worshiping Shango. But when a stranger is coming, they will immediately switch to praising Jesus again. That was how they started that thing till today. But we are still talking to them because some of them, they've changed from that syncretism to pure Orisa worship, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. We know people like that. While some are still saying that they don't want to forget their history, that doing it together is making them realize the suffering of their fathers. Though at the back of their mind, their belief is in Orisa worship. They see that as a camouflage to do a kind of cover-up. And in Yoruba land here, we realize that with the introduction of Christianity and Islam, in those days, they told our people that Orisa can be seen as your heritage. You can still retain it as your heritage while you choose either Christianity or Islam. That is why today, even in Yoruba land, majority of the people that we see and we refer to them as Christian and Muslim, they are not. They are syncretists. 90% of Muslims in Yoruba land are syncretists who syncretize Islam with Orisa worship. You can see them using Oduifa. You see them using Oshedudu. You see them making use of Ofo, incantation, when they are doing it. Even the Muslims, some of them, we call it, they will say Garitia. When you see them preparing Akoshe Ifa, they will say Garitia. Even you see Christians doing Igbe for people.
I see.
They say, one Igbe fun. You see the pastors, the alphas, making Ibori for people. Those ones are not Christians, they are not Muslims, they are syncretists. That is why we will tell them that when will you look at the population of Yoruba land, and some people will say Muslim 45%, Christian 40%, is a lie. Syncretists are the people they refer to as Muslims and Christians. But what we are doing is we are telling our people that they should stop syncretizing Ifa with other religions. Let us retain our sacred practice of Ifa. Let it be sacred. Let Ifa be Ifa. If you want to be a practitioner of Yoruba traditional religion, be a pure practitioner. Practice Isheshe in its original way, pure form. And that's what we will still continue doing that. The campaign, because we have been seeing it on Facebook, people will say, I'm proudly Oniseshi against syncretism. That is a very good thing. And we are very, very happy that our people are waking up and they are doing away with syncretism. It is now something it is becoming something of the past.
Thank you very much for your time. It's important to have you on this show. We hope that we are going. I was hoping that one of these days we'll be able to have a broader show with yourself, Dr. Sunday Adegbola, Dr. and a couple of other people who are intellectuals within the Shishi community that can actually be part of this. We see the wonderful works you're doing. We hope that we can be also part of your drive to see that Shishi becomes a better and that you do better than your predecessor. We pray that Olodumare will give you the guiding light, will give you the help and all the resources you need to actualize your dreams. Thank you very much for coming to the Fabric Podcast. It is a privilege to have you. We say Aboru, Aboye, Aboye Bojishewo.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to feature on your program. And we pray that Olodumare will always be with you, guide you, and guard you, and that whatever you lay your hands upon will always be successful. Ifá ní ẹ̀mí sá dífá fógbè tí ń tọrùn bọ̀ wáyé. Ó ní ọkọ́ kì í mẹ́sì oko ẹ̀ mọ́jà. Àdá kì í mẹ́sì oko ẹ̀ mọ́jà. Fàárẹ̀ kọjá náà ní tinúnú rí bí kànáńjẹ́gbọ́n bá fẹnu múgi a sì tọ́ lára dókè. Whatever you lay your hand upon will always be successful. And we pray also that our Ìṣẹ̀ṣe, our tradition, our religion, our spirituality will not be eroded away by this alien negative powers that are trying to annihilate our race. Because once you annihilate the culture of a particular race, you've already destroyed the race. And we pray that Olodumare will also be our guide.
We've done
that. We pray for you. And Olodumare will also be with you. And you will be victorious over your enemies. And òkìkí yín á kàn sí rere káàkiri àgbáyé, will be popular. Everybody will know you for good. They will know you for good things. And wherever they hear your name, people will always be happy about it. And you will never get involved in anything that will tarnish your name. Ifá ní òkìkí ariwo dífá fógùn yóò bímọ kan yóò wú sí káyé. Òkìkí ariwo òkìkí ọmọ Ògún kan, òkìkí yín á kàn sí rere. And we pray that whatever is happening among the Ìṣẹ̀ṣe community, all these rifts, all these grudges, all this infighting, that Ọ̀rúnmìlà abáwa yanjú gbogbo. Ifá ní fìlà òdòdó ọ̀la ló pẹ́ ẹ̀gẹ́ ni wọ́n fi fẹ́. Báyá bá ń ṣe bíríyá ẹjẹ́ ọmọ ṣe bíríyá. Báwèrè bá ń ṣe bíríyá kọ́ mọ́ ṣe bíríyá. Bọ́bọ̀ bá ń ṣorí gidi gbogbo kọ́ mọ́ ṣorí gidi gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ dífá fún Ọ̀rúnmìlà yọ̀ọ̀pá náà múra àrùn ṣuṣu bí iṣu. Ayé kẹfẹ́, ayé kẹyà, ẹ̀dúpá náà tẹ̀rùn, awo tó règbè ẹ̀ wálé. Ọ̀rúnmìlà bá wa pa náà tẹ̀rùn. Ọ̀rúnmìlà bá wa pa náà tẹ̀rùn. Gbogbo ohun tó ń dùn oníkálukú wa lẹ́mìí tá a ti fi ṣera wa, Ọ̀rúnmìlà á fi ẹ̀mí ìgbàgbé sí ọkàn oníkálukú. Á fi ẹ̀mí ìgbàgbé sí ọkàn oníkálukú. Àlàáfíà àjọba eré là ń bọ́ máa yòó ṣe. Ọ̀rúnmìlà á gbin ẹ̀mí eré sínú gbogbo wa. Àní ríjà gbogbo ìjà tó ti wà, gbogbo ẹ̀ á tán, gbogbo ẹ̀ rúdurùdu. Á dẹ̀ ṣe wúre fún àwọn agbéfága gbogbo àwọn tó ń gbéṣẹ̀ ṣe ga, àwọn tó wà ńlẹ̀ yìí, àwọn tó wà lókèrè. A ṣèwúre fún wọn bá ṣe ń gbé fága Olódùmarè, a máa gbé wọn ga. Ọlá wọn iwájú ló máa lọ. Ọlá wọn kò ní lọ sẹ́yìn. Bí ṣe ń wù wọ́n kọ́rọ̀ wọn rí ní rere, bẹ́ẹ̀ ló máa rí. Bí ṣe ń wù wọ́n kọ́rọ̀ wọn rí rere, bẹ́ẹ̀ ló máa rí. Ọ̀rúnmìlà kò ní jẹ́ kí náà wọ́n ojú àjò rẹ̀yìn. Ọ̀rúnmìlà ò ní jẹ́ kí náà wọ́n ojú àjò rẹ̀yìn. Ifá ní òdìmúdìmú àwo olúwo dífá fún Ọlọ́fin odò yìí gbirigbiri ìjà náà. Ẹbọ wọn ni ó ṣe. Ọgbẹ́ bo rúbọ ọjọ́ tó rúbọ làrúta wa. Ọlá àwa ọ̀yọ́ sókè nígbà yìí o. Pípọ̀ rí iná bá gbogbo jẹ ìwà rẹ̀ á sì gòkè. Ìwà wa yóò mọ̀ gòkè. Yóò gòkè síta jẹ́, yóò gòkè síta ya. Títọ́ ọmọ ilé kíkọ́ àṣẹ kíkà ìkú baálé ọ̀rọ̀. Gbogbo wa wà máa fa ìkú dẹ́gbẹ̀ra. Ẹ̀mí wa ó gùn. Ifá ní gbogbo orí ààfin ewu. Abùkẹ́rẹ́ ru òrìṣà mọ́ sọ. Lálá àgbàjà ló ti kó ṣe ẹ̀dẹ́ dífá fún Ọ̀rúnmìlà lọ́rẹ̀ fẹ̀mí ọmọ Olódùmarè ṣobìnrin. wọ́n ní bí ẹ̀mí ọ̀bá bọ́ ire gbogbo ń bẹ ire gbogbo ń bẹ ní ìwọ ò ní bọ́ ìgbọ́n ọkàn nú kò ṣeé kàn yàn dífá fún bàbá yẹkú yàrùn tí wọ́n ń pè lọ yẹkú sán pọ́nná kí ni ọ̀yẹ̀kú nù lórí ẹ̀ wo
ẹjọ́ yẹ
Ifá ọ̀yẹ̀kú nù lórí ẹ̀ wo ilé ọmọlẹ̀ ìgbà ọmọlẹ̀ wọ́n yẹ kú wọ́n yàrùn wọ́n yẹ gbogbo ajogun nù lórí wa ní rí bí ire lámọ̀ rí ẹ̀làbọ̀rú ẹ̀làbọ̀yè ẹ̀làbọ̀ ṣíṣẹ́.
Gbogbo actors wey wò fún ẹ̀ṣin bàbá thank you very much for coming ẹ ṣeun gan-an.
ẹ̀yin lẹ ṣe ń ẹ kú ètò.